I wanted to get into the top 10 reasons. This is the top 10 reasons that people go to therapy. And I'm putting it on here, the top 10 reasons for Jesus and therapy, right?
Amen.
Did you want to explain a little bit how they're not in equal footing? Just as a preface to this.
Yeah, so I think well, it's what Garrett said earlier.
Right.
You know, how it's not Jesus but Jesus is.
Okay, that's good.
You know,
that's good
so I think he explained that, and so I want our listeners to know that we're not equaling or making equal Jesus and therapy. What we're saying is, for those who have Christ, I think there's wisdom in getting therapy still, because I needed it, you needed it, we all do.
Yeah.
You know, for some of the issues, we need someone that could specialize in that area of mental health, that can come in and really walk with us, you know, through that. And there's a method I want to bring up after you bring up the list, but there is a method that I believe counselors and therapists need to adhere to in order to be effective biblical therapists and counselors.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about that later, but we're exalting Christ. We believe Christ is the cure. And so he's going to go through a list of things that, you know, of reasons of why as Christians even we still need therapy.
Right. And as I'm thinking about it, I forgot that we said we were going to hit up Reese to get on the episode with us as well. So it was supposed to be you, Garrett, me, you, and Reese. We were supposed to like really.
So you got to make that up to her then.
Well, the thing is, this topic is this topic is so deep that we're gonna have to do a part 2 to this.
Yeah.
So we will follow up, and
no doubt
we'll make sure that we'll work around Reese's schedule to try to get her in here for that, because she is a therapist, correct?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
We could do that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, top 10 reasons for Jesus and therapy. Number 1, and this is no particular order. I just wanted to put 10 down. Emotional issues. So that's dealing with anger, rage, unforgiveness, holding on to grudges, sadness, depression, suicidal thoughts, anxiety, stress, just all of those things right there. Number 2 would be gender or identity issues, getting counseling for that. I'm sure that's much needed today. With
Absolutely.
a lot of the confusion and a lot of the stuff that has been going on behind closed doors. It needs to be discussed, and I think that's running into the gender and identity issues, as well as number 3, which is sexuality.
Yeah.
That stuff can start at a very young age.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And imagine,
Yeah.
I don't know if y'all have been through any of this, but going through that at a young age and then carrying that with you the rest of your life,
Absolutely.
it can really mess you up.
Yes.
I have people that are close to me that I won't name, but they've been through some horrible things and they've carried that with them the rest of their life, and they're still dealing with sexuality. They're still dealing with gender and identity issues.
And
Absolutely.
the pattern I've seen too is that it's so ingrained in their personality that they don't even see that it's been put in there.
Yeah.
It's so a part of them that they don't see that it's the part that's damaging them.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? I don't know if you.
Yeah,
you know.
totally. I would say that, especially when it happens in childhood. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because that's such a important time in development that these things become so ingrained in who you believe you are.
Right.
Specifically with sexuality, it can feel like this is my identity.
Right.
And not something that happened to me.
Right.
So yeah, I think on top of the fact that there's a mix between, so I have a belief that in therapy there is a mix between things that can be biological and things that cycles that we kept ourselves in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And when you get not being able to get to a point where you can accept the fact that, okay, I've contributed to this in some ways.
Right.
You know what I mean? When it looks and feels like this isn't my fault, or I'm a victim, or those things can be so convoluted that it's hard for people to wade through it all.
Yeah. The person lose sight that they're dysfunction or their what happened to them is an attachment, not something that's actually them.
Yeah.
You know,
Absolutely.
and that's the hard part is, you know, these are things that were added to an already broken person because of sin, and they don't see it as an attachment, something that could be detached. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Something that can actually be removed. And that's the sad part. You're trying to show someone, hey, this isn't the way that God intended, but it's so attached to them that they don't even see that it could be ripped out of them.
Absolutely. And the other part is, and I think why there definitely needs to be a part 2 to this conversation, is that there is a difference when you're talking to believers and unbelievers.
Yeah, we'll get into that. Oh yeah.
You know, because, and I'll just keep it short to say, for the unbeliever, it starts with repentance.
Right.
You can't move forward without that. I do believe that the Lord cares about the believer and unbeliever. Right. And he, you know, 1 Corinthians describes him as the God of all comfort. You know what I mean? But he also calls us to repentance and to see that we are sinners, and we have a role that we played in this, whether it's, you know, for whatever the various reasons and why it started. And
sexuality is a deep one because the Bible describes it as the sin that you sin against yourself on. Yeah. So it's different. Yeah, totally. Than the other sins, for sure. Absolutely. You know.
I'm looking at Janer's comment. Someone had a technical comment asking about the technical stuff. His name is Ed Lees. Go ahead and check that out, Los.
All right.
Because I can't answer that. Janer says, been a long day. Depression would have probably set in a little had I not remembered that I've been named by Los as the basement's most handsomest guest. Number 4 on this top 10 reasons for Jesus in therapy would be traumatic experiences, grief, loss, which, you know, I think that kind of goes along with everything else that I've said so far. Yeah. Number 5 would be low self-esteem or social problems. Absolutely. Number 6, substance abuse. Yes. Come on. Yeah. Yep. I'm thinking about the rapper that died just 3 days ago. Over substance abuse and all that. Number 7, behavioral or legal problems. Yep. How many of us know people that could use some therapy or some counseling in that
family
area?
Members, for sure. You know what I mean? Got that uncle, that Theo that comes over, you know, he be tripping. Yep.
I think these are hand in hand, number 8 and 9, especially with a bunch of us. Marital counseling and family counseling.
Which I still do.
That's good.
Even as a pastor, I still do that. So I don't stop that. That's important.
The marital part, right? The marital
counseling. I get marital counseling every month, which I'll describe what kind of counseling it is because I think it's biblical. But even as a pastor, you know, we got to put ourselves in check. You know, and I've been challenged by by our counselor this month, and every day I've been really trying to be still intentional with loving my wife. You know, when she comes home doing the dishes, you know, not that I'm trying to brag about that, but you know, the stuff that you can do, that being intentional, you know, is important. Absolutely. And keep, that counseling always keeps in front of my face. I need to love and lead my wife every month.
That's good.
So,
number 10 would be financial problems, getting therapy or counseling in that area. And I mean, that's a whole topic within itself. Yeah. Dealing with the financial problems and all the questions that you might have. And sometimes you got to really like reprogram your whole brain when it comes to finances if you're in a really tough spot. All of the things that we grow up with, just a poverty mind state, and just all of that, man. That deserves a whole episode within itself, and we will talk about that in our financial episode that we have coming up.
Yeah,
awesome. Giving y'all a heads up about that.
I will be tuning in.
Yes, I love the title too. I'm not going to. It's gonna be a Johan's gonna love the title.
Yep.
He's either gonna love or hate the title.
You know what? He's gonna love it or hate it. You're right.
We'll see it.